She arrived just after sunrise. Not in a military vehicle. Not with a group. She walked. Alone. Boots dusty. Uniform standard issue. But something was off. Her name tape was missing. Her rank. Not there. At first, the guards at the gate thought it was a mistake. Maybe she lost her ID. Maybe she wasn't supposed to be here at all. But then she handed over a sealed envelope. Plain. No markings. Just one name typed on the front. Commander William Harlan. The gate sergeant looked at her. Then back at the envelope. He hesitated. Wait here, he said. She didn't nod. Didn't speak. She just stood still, eyes forward, breathing calm and steady, like she'd done this before. The base was quiet that morning. Recruits were lining up for PT. Instructors barked orders. Everything moved like clockwork, until word started to spread. There's someone new. A woman. No badge. No clearance. 10 minutes later, Commander Harlan was reading the contents of the envelope inside his office. No one else was allowed in. The letter inside was short. Hand-delivered authorization. Signature matched a federal intelligence stamp. The kind that doesn't go through regular military channels. No backstory. No mission statement. Just a line at the bottom. She is here under direct instruction. She is not to be questioned. Harlan closed the folder. Then looked out the window. She was still standing by the gate. By noon, she had been issued a bunk, a standard kit, and assigned to SEAL Candidate Unit 14. And still no one knew her name. At dinner, some of the others tried to talk to her. Nothing hostile. Just small questions. Where'd you train? What's your MOS? What rank you transferring from? She didn't lie. She just didn't answer. One of the senior trainees scoffed. You think this is some kind of movie? She looked at him. Only for a second. But he stopped talking. That night, while the others were getting ready for lights out, she stayed outside. Running. Training. Doing sets of push-ups in the gravel until her hands turned raw. An instructor walked past and paused. Candidate, he said, you're off the clock. She didn't stop. Inside the barracks, someone asked, who let her in? No one answered. Commander Harlan reviewed the day's activity logs late that night. Her name didn't appear once. Not on check-in. Not on meal reports. Not even on the barracks roll call. She was invisible. But still there. He closed the file and leaned back. Then he picked up the red phone behind his desk. The one that didn't dial out unless there was a reason. He hovered his finger over the receiver. Paused. And set it back down. He didn't need answers. Not yet. She had 1 week to prove herself. And he'd seen that look before. Years ago. In classified files. On faces of people who didn't officially exist. People who never needed a name to leave a mark. Day 2 started at 0430 hours. Cold wind rolled off the coast. The candidates stood shoulder to shoulder on the sand, shivering in formation. She was there too. No name. No rank. No complaints. When the instructor barked orders, she moved like she'd heard them 1,000 times before. Every stretch. Every motion. Every breath controlled. They were told to run 5 miles in full gear. Halfway through, one of the candidates fell behind. She didn't look back. She didn't slow down. She crossed the line in the top 3. The others noticed. By breakfast, whispers started again. She's too quiet. She's been trained before. No way she's a new recruit. They kept talking. She kept listening, but never answered. After chow, the group was moved to the obstacle course. Mud pits. Rope climbs. Wall jumps. Timed drills under pressure. The instructors watched closely. So did Commander Harlan, from the tower above. She cleared the wall in under 6 seconds. Rope climb? Flawless. Mud pit crawl? Faster than anyone in her unit. But it wasn't just speed. It was precision. Efficiency. She didn't waste a single movement. At the final station, she paused for half a second. Looked up at the sniper nest. She knew he was watching. And then she ran straight through the final sprint. No reaction. No smile. Just silence. One candidate muttered, "She moves like she's already done this in combat." Later that afternoon, the instructors announced an added test. Log carries. Teams of 4. 6-foot logs. Deep sand. 40 minutes straight. They paired her with 3 of the most outspoken trainees. Men who didn't like her presence. 10 minutes in, they started dragging. She didn't. She kept her shoulder under the log, jaw clenched, feet steady. At minute 32, one of the men collapsed. She didn't yell, didn't panic. She shifted her weight, picked up the slack, and pushed forward. The team finished last, but finished. And when it was over, she stood straight. Still silent. Covered in mud and sweat. But steady. Commander Harlan called an instructor over. "Give her double rations tonight," he said. The instructor blinked. "Sir?" Harlan stared out the window. She earned them. That night, in the barracks, someone left a note on her bunk. It read, "You don't belong here." She read it, folded it, slipped it into her bag. Then she laced her boots and went outside. She ran 5 miles alone in the dark. No flashlight, no noise, just the sound of her breathing, steady and sharp. By the time she returned, the sky was starting to lighten. One trainee watched from the window, confused. How does she not break? The man next to him said nothing. He was staring at her boots. The treads were worn smooth. Not from this training. From years before. The next morning, Commander Harlan met with the senior staff. "She's progressing fast," one instructor said. "But sir, who signed her in?" Harlan didn't answer. He simply pointed to the training schedule. "Keep her moving. And don't get in her way." There was a long pause. Then Harlan added, almost to himself, "She's not here to train." And no one in that room dared ask what he meant. On day 4, the sky turned gray before dawn. Rain came in hard, sideways. Cold. Relentless. Perfect weather for what the instructors called misery conditioning. They gathered the candidates at the base of the old steel training tower. 30 feet of rusted iron and slick ladders, followed by a rope descent into the river. It wasn't just about strength. It was about pain. The instructors explained the drill once. No repetition. No encouragement. She was third in line. The first man climbed too fast. Slipped halfway up. Disqualified. The second froze at the top. Couldn't make the descent. Then it was her turn. She moved with precision. Not fast. Not slow. Just right. The wind hit harder the higher she went. The rain made every rung feel like ice. But she kept climbing. Halfway down the rope, it happened. Her boots slipped. Her body twisted in midair. She slammed into the side of the tower. A loud crack echoed through the yard. A medic rushed forward, but the instructor raised his hand. Wait. She didn't fall. She caught the rope again. One hand. Blood already soaking through her glove. She didn't yell. Didn't flinch. She finished the descent with her boot barely touching each knot. When she hit the ground, she stood up straight. Her leg buckled slightly, but she forced it back into place. The other candidates stared. No one spoke. The instructor made a mark on the clipboard, then nodded. Later, in the medical tent, the corpsman confirmed what everyone suspected. Her knee was bruised to the bone. Possible ligament strain. She should be benched, the corpsman said. She's not going to make it past tomorrow. Commander Harlan looked at the chart, then at the tent flap as it closed behind her. She'll decide that. That night, the rain kept falling. She didn't go to the mess hall. She didn't go to the barracks. She went to the outdoor track. And ran. Not fast. Not steady. But she ran. In circles. Around and around. One candidate finally walked over. A younger man who hadn't said a word to her all week. "You trying to prove something?" he asked. She didn't answer. "Look," he continued. "You don't have to do this. Nobody here even knows your name." She stopped running. Turned to him. "I know it." Then kept running. By midnight, she had logged 5 miles. Limping. But never stopping. In the tower above, Commander Harlan watched the whole thing from his window. He didn't take notes. Didn't call anyone. He just watched. And remembered something from years ago. A similar night. A different face. Same look in the eyes. The kind of look you only see in someone who's survived more than just war. The kind of look you don't train into people. You find it in them. Or you don't. The next morning, she was first in formation. Leg wrapped. Boots laced. Eyes forward. And this time, none of the others questioned it. Because whatever she was fighting through, it wasn't just physical. It was deeper, older, and more dangerous than any of them could understand. But they were starting to respect it, even fear it. And so was Harlan. The base alarm sounded at 0300 hours. Not a drill. Commander Harlan was already awake. He knew the sound. He'd only heard it twice in his career. Both times men died. Inside the command tent, a report came through. A surveillance drone had gone dark near the border zone. A recon unit was sent in. They hadn't checked back in. 12 men. Radio silence. Satellite scans showed possible movement. Armed. Coordinated. No time to wait for backup. Harlan assembled a team. Fast. 8 candidates still in training. 1 instructor. 1 objective, extract and report. He didn't want to include her. Not officially. She wasn't cleared for live operations. But she was already outside the tent, gear on, rifle in hand. No words. Just a nod. The instructor raised a brow. Sir, she's not even. She's going, Harlan said. They moved out in 2 Black Hawks. 30 minutes to the drop zone. Wind heavy. Night vision on. Tension higher than normal. This wasn't a test. This wasn't theory. This was war. As the helicopter blades chopped through the night, one of the younger men leaned toward her. You ever done this before? She checked her gear without looking at him. Enough. They landed silent, 2 miles from the last known location of the recon unit. Dense terrain. No moon. No lights. Just shadows and adrenaline. The team split into 2 squads. She was assigned point. They moved fast. Too fast. Something was wrong. Tracks in the dirt. No bodies. No signs of a firefight. But no equipment either. Just silence. Then a voice came through the comms. We've got movement. North Ridge. Possible heat signatures. The instructor gave the order to hold position. She didn't listen. She turned, signaled a different path, and cut through the trees alone. The squad hesitated, then followed her. 2 minutes later, they found them. The recon unit. Tied. Beaten. Still alive. Hidden behind a ridge that would have gone unseen from the north. They were being used as bait. If the original squad had gone in straight, they would have been ambushed. One of the recon men looked up at her, bleeding but conscious. How ? How did you know? She didn't answer. Just cut his restraints. Shots rang out from the ridge. Fire opened up from 3 sides. But she was already moving. Directing return fire. Calling positions. Shifting men without panic. She didn't take command. She simply acted like someone who'd done this before. Someone who wasn't surprised by bullets. 10 minutes of fighting. Then silence. Hostiles down. No casualties. When the team returned to the Black Hawk, the instructor radioed in. All recovered. All safe. Engagement confirmed. Target neutralized. Commander Harlan's voice came through calm and clear. Understood. And her? The instructor looked at her. She was kneeling beside one of the recon soldiers, wrapping his arm. She's not one of us, he said. Then added quietly. She's better. By dawn, the base was back in lockdown. Reports filed. Debrief started. Everyone had questions. No one had answers. Except Harlan. He looked at the mission footage again. Zoomed in on her face. No fear. No hesitation. He recognized the expression. He'd seen it on the faces of men who came back from black operations. Missions that didn't officially exist. And one thing was becoming very clear. She didn't need a name. Because whatever her past was, it was still in motion. Word spread fast across the base. She had led the operation. Not officially. Not on paper. But everyone knew it. And nobody could explain how she did it. Commander Harlan ordered all helmet cams reviewed. Every second of footage. He watched it in silence, frame by frame. There she was, moving between trees like she'd memorized the terrain. Calling out enemy positions before they appeared. Predicting movements with no intel. It wasn't instinct. It was experience. And it wasn't just the SEAL candidates who noticed. By noon, a black SUV rolled onto the base. No plates. No markings. 2 men in plain suits stepped out. They walked straight to Harlan's office. Her, one of them said, sliding a still frame across the desk. Where did you find her? Harlan didn't answer. The man leaned forward. You don't find people like this, Commander. They find you. That evening, the team gathered in the debrief room. All seated except her. She stood at the back, arms crossed. Watching. Listening. The instructor went over the mission report. Names. Timings. Engagement breakdowns. Then he paused. Looked at her. You took command without orders. Why? She met his eyes. You hesitated. No anger. No arrogance. Just truth. He didn't respond. Harlan stepped in. That decision saved lives. No one argued. No one even breathed. She left the room quietly. Later that night, one of the younger candidates knocked on her bunk post. You ever gonna tell us who you really are? She looked up at him. Calm. Steady. You wouldn't believe me. Then went back to sharpening her knife. At 2,300 hours, the base went dark. Not a power cut. A lockdown. All external communications frozen. Training suspended. Harlan received an encrypted message from an unknown server. No header. No signature. Just 4 words. She was never yours. And attached to file. Audio only. Distorted. Male voice. Calm. Unshaken. She was active in Bagram, Kandahar, Mosul. She doesn't wear medals. She's not in the system. You let her in. Now you deal with it. Harlan stared at the screen. He knew that voice. He also knew that whoever this woman really was, she wasn't finished yet. The next morning, training resumed. As if nothing had happened. But everything had changed. During an urban breach simulation, the instructors deliberately gave the wrong coordinates. A setup. A test. Only she caught it. She adjusted her team's entry point without orders. Cleared the building. Saved the unit. And exposed the trap in front of everyone. No one questioned her after that. Not even the instructors. When they asked who taught her that protocol, she only said one word. Failure. That night, a quiet ceremony was held for the recovered recon team. No speeches. No cameras. Just a few words of gratitude. Commander Harlan stood beside her in the back of the crowd. You're not here to prove anything, are you? He asked. She didn't respond. Then why are you still here? She looked at him. For the first time, he saw something shift in her expression. I'm not finished. Then she walked away. And Harlan, a man who'd served for 25 years, realized something. She wasn't part of the system. She was the kind of person the system quietly relied on, but never talked about. By the end of the week, nobody was calling her the mystery recruit anymore. They didn't call her anything at all. No one knew her name. No one dared ask. They just watched her, followed her, learned from her, even if they didn't understand how or why. But someone somewhere wanted answers. At exactly 0900 hours, Commander Harlan received a secure message from DC. One line. Run facial recognition through ShadowNet. ShadowNet wasn't standard military software. It wasn't connected to the Department of Defense. It was black-level clearance. Intelligence grade. Access restricted to less than 50 people in the entire government. Harlan had never used it. But now he did. He uploaded a still image of her from the training yard. Not high quality. No profile angle. But enough. He clicked enter. The system processed for 43 seconds. Then something strange happened. A red screen. No match. Then a secondary message. Access denied. Restricted identity. Eyes only. Project Silent Order. Harlan leaned back in his chair. Silent. He had heard of Silent Order. Once. Years ago. During a closed-door briefing on rogue operations and deep cover assets. Not even files. Just rumors. Whispers. Ghosts inside the government. No name. No record. No trace. Officially, it didn't exist. And yet, here she was. Training with SEAL candidates. Bleeding. Running. Fighting. And now? Watching everything. That night, Harlan met with his most trusted instructor. She's not military, the man said. Not officially. No, Harlan replied. She's above it. The instructor frowned. Above us? Harlan nodded. She outranks the building. The next day, things escalated. An external security team arrived. Private contractors. Black uniforms. No insignia. They weren't friendly. They demanded a full list of recruits. Entry logs. Surveillance access. Harlan refused. This is a Navy facility, he said. You don't give orders here. One of them stepped closer. We're not here to give orders, Commander. We're here to clean up a file that never should have been opened. Behind them, she stood, watching, unmoved. The lead contractor turned to her. You've been found. Time to come home. She didn't speak, just looked at Harlan. Waiting. He stepped forward. She's under my command. The contractor smiled coldly. Not anymore. Then she did something no one expected. She handed over a sealed envelope. Not to the contractors. To Harlan. For when I'm gone. Then she walked with the team. No resistance. No anger. But before stepping into the black SUV, she turned. Saluted. It wasn't for the contractors. It was for him. Commander Harlan returned the salute. And everyone on that field watched, confused. Because no SEAL commander salutes a recruit. Unless she isn't one. And never was. That night, Harlan opened the envelope. Inside, no documents. No names. No orders. Just a photograph. A younger version of her, standing with 3 other operatives. Desert uniforms. Dust-covered faces. In the background, an American flag. Burned. Torn. And on the back, a single sentence written in pen. You protected the country. I protected the truth. Nothing more. Nothing less. And in that moment, Harlan knew something deep, final, and unshakable. She didn't disappear. She was pulled back. Because people like her don't retire. They vanish. 3 days passed. The base returned to routine. But it wasn't the same. Something had shifted. The recruits trained harder. The instructors watched more closely. And Commander Harlan wasn't sleeping. The envelope she left still sat on his desk. He read the message every night. You protected the country. I protected the truth. The problem was, he didn't know what truth she meant. Until the call came in. Unmarked number. No caller ID. But he recognized the voice. Rough. Calm. American, but barely. She's gone dark, the voice said. Harlan kept his tone steady. Where? If we knew that, we wouldn't be calling you. There was a pause. We think she ran. Broke protocol. Left the operation mid-transfer. No signal. No trail. Harlan didn't respond. She ever talked to you? The voice asked. Say anything strange? She never said anything, Harlan replied. That was the strange part. Click. The line went dead. The next morning, Harlan walked the edge of the training field alone. The fog hadn't lifted yet. The air was still. Near the barracks, something caught his eye. A boot print. Small. Deep. Fresh. Not from any of the current trainees. He followed the trail. It led to the weapons shed. Locked. No signs of forced entry. He opened it. Everything inside was untouched. Except one drawer. It was slightly open. Inside, an old file. Paper, not digital. Marked with a red stamp, decommissioned. Inside the file, there was a single report. A mission from 8 years ago. Location, Eastern Europe. Objective, asset extraction. Team classified. She was in the photo attached. Same face. Different eyes. Colder. Underneath the image was a note. Only one made it out. And scribbled beneath that, in handwriting not from the original report. Survival wasn't the mission. Silence was. That night, Harlan drove alone. Off base. Into the hills. There was one place no one would look. An abandoned ranger station deep in the forest. Decommissioned for years. Used once by joint forces during a wildfire. He arrived at 0200. And found the door open. Inside, the smell of burned coffee and old gun oil. A backpack in the corner. One cot. And her. Sitting by the window. Staring into the trees. She didn't move when he entered. Didn't speak. You ran, he said. She shook her head. I stayed. Harlan looked around. No weapons out. No defenses set. You're done hiding? He asked. I was never hiding, she said. I was deciding. Deciding what? If they deserved to keep the truth buried. She stood. Limped slightly. Old injury. Still healing. I left something behind. A name. Not mine. Someone else's. They're still looking for it. Harlan frowned. What kind of name? She looked at him. Eyes sharp. Unblinking. The kind that changes everything if it's ever spoken. Then she handed him a small drive. Keep this safe. If I disappear again, you open it. What's on it? He asked. Her voice lowered. The reason they salute me without knowing who I am. Before he could say another word, headlights appeared in the distance. 2 black SUVs. Fast. She didn't flinch. They're not here to talk, she said. They're here to erase. And Harlan, for the first time in years, felt something he hadn't felt since his first deployment. Not fear. Responsibility. Because now, he knew the truth was his to carry. The black SUVs stopped just outside the ranger station. Engines idling. Doors opening. 2 men stepped out, moving quickly, professional, scanning the area like predators. She didn't reach for a weapon. She waited. Harlan pulled the small drive closer to his chest. One of the men called out, voice low and steady. Commander Harlan stepped forward. This isn't your fight. He didn't move. We're authorized to retrieve her. And anything she's carrying. She finally spoke, voice calm but sharp. You can try, but you won't win. The tension thickened. The men advanced. Harlan grabbed her arm. We need to get out of here. She nodded. They slipped through the back exit, shadows blending into the trees. Gunfire erupted behind them. Not random shots. Precise. Tracer rounds cutting through the night. They ran. Branches whipped past their faces. Muddy ground sucked at their boots. Every step felt heavier. But she led, knowing the forest like a second skin. They reached an old service road. Harlan flagged down a passing truck. Drive. Fast. The driver didn't hesitate. Behind them, the echoes of pursuit faded into the distance. Safe for now. They didn't speak until they reached a small cabin miles away. Inside, she locked the door and dropped the drive on the table. This, she said, is everything they want to bury. Harlan plugged the drive into his laptop. Files. Videos. Names. Locations. Dark secrets. Operations erased from history. People who never existed. And her. Her real name. Her past missions. Her sacrifices. Harlan looked up. You're a ghost. She smiled faintly. Exactly. Why tell me? Because you're the only one I trust to carry it. Days later, the base officially reported her AWOL. The military issued a closed investigation. No answers. No explanations. But Commander Harlan kept the secret. And the salute. Years passed. Every now and then a message would come. Encrypted. Brief. Sometimes a photo. Sometimes just coordinates. Proof she was still out there. Watching. Protecting. No rank. No name. But always a shadow. And the SEAL commander who once saluted her knew this truth. Some warriors don't wear badges. Some heroes don't want to be found. And some stories are meant to stay in the shadows.